because I'm sure he's going to continue to be very, very busy weaving these blades of grass very intricately and with immense skill to create what you see on the bottom right of the screen. That's a completed nest, so quite nice to have a during and an after shot, what it will look like. There have been quite a few requests for weavers' nests, so I hope whoever has been requesting to have a look at them is watching this morning. These are termed village weavers. They've got a very close cousin called the southern masked weavers, and they look very, very identical. But an easy way to distinguish between the two are the fact that these village weavers do nest communally and often over water. So that helps to guide us in the right direction as to which bird it is exactly. And the males are often very brightly colored, bright yellow, and the females are slightly more drab color. And interesting in that the males are the ones that build the nests, and once the male's completed a nest, he'll invite a lady across for a viewing, and if she doesn't approve of it, she often tears the nest down. She doesn't just move on and look for another date. She tears it down, I guess, to save any fellow females wasting time. Okay, can you try and get onto those ones there, Brian? It appears that we found a nest with a male that's just about completed, and we saw a female also just jump onto the nest. So he may have got lucky. Here we go. So that's the male we can see dangling there. He's doing some slight alterations, it looks like. And then, if we're lucky, the female will pop up. She did just a few seconds ago. And that way you'll get an idea of the different colorations. They tend to pop from one nest to the other as we zoom in on the one where we feel the action's going to be. But let's just, there we go, here's the male. Quite interesting how they dangle their wings down like that. And I think that does attract a bit of attention to them, saying, hey, look at me, I've finished my nest. Come and have a closer look if you're interested. And there is a female sitting nearby that is hopefully going to pop up. She's actually just landed about 2 meters away from the vehicle, but she seems to be giving the males a run around. There's a few of them chasing her. What's interesting with birds that nest in trees like this, or that can nest on the periphery of a tree, on the terminal branches, they often use the western side of the tree. This way they ensure that the last afternoon sunlight kind of warms up that little nest, and they go into the evening with a nice warm nest. So when out in the bush and you are not sure of your direction, there can be an indicator from you from the bush, and that nests are often on the western side of trees, there was a really beautiful specimen that just landed on this nest. So let's see if he gives us another show quickly, and it's an unobstructed view. Like I say, they're making our job Brian's job rather than mine, a little bit difficult, because they're ping-ponging from nest to nest and we're not sure which one to film. Incredible how intricately woven that nest is, considering they're only using their mouth. Oh, look at that. That was the view we were hoping for. So we got lucky there. We've just got a question through from Bobby on Twitter. Morning, Bobby. Welcome to the Weaver Nests. And Bob's question was that the weavers look very similar to the orioles. They do in terms of coloration, Bobby, and what I'll do is I'll get the book out to show you a closer look. But in terms of their anatomy, they are considerably different. Their beak, their body size, it's simply their coloration that is similar. And I couldn't agree with you more, but they aren't related in any way. It's just a coincidence that they are the same kind of color. And in a moment before we leave, I'll show you both species in the book, and that way I can show you the comparisons between the two, but they are in no way related that I know of, at least. Thanks for that question there, Bobby, and like I say, I will be able to show you the closer up kind of difference between the two birds. They also nest very differently, orioles and weavers. Orioles make a deep cup-shaped nest, as opposed to a weaved ball like we can see here, a weaved structure. Brian's doing a great work with the camera work and establishing kind of a routine here as to which weaver, because the weavers come and start building their nest and then head off to go and get more building materials, so it hasn't been easy to get in all the action. But here we have the black-headed oriole on the top right of the page, and Bobby, if you look at its beak, you'll notice that it's quite long and slender, and its body size, it's difficult to tell from this picture, is about double that of a weaver and slightly more elongated. And now that I flip over to the village weaver, which is on the bottom right of the page, you'll notice the beak is a lot more broad and less slender and less long. While we're here, I mean, have a look at the village weaver on the right and the southern masked weaver on the left. They look almost identical. They've both got black eyes, they've both got this black mask. It's simply their breeding. Assume that this is the village weaver, which nests communally. The southern masked nests solitary and also on land, not overhanging water. But well noted there, Bobby. They are similar looking, and I'm sure from the screen it can be a little bit deceiving, because you would have just seen that yellow body and black head. But in real life, if you were to have them next to one another, they would be considerably different. Okay. Very good questions just come through from Jan on email, and as you would have noticed, the hole or entrance into the nest is at the base of it. It is not at the center of the nest; it's at one extremity of the bottom of the nest. And Jan has showed concern as to how the eggs or chicks don't fall out of the nest. I mean, you can imagine if the wind blows, that certainly there would be a chance of that happening. And Jan, it does happen. The catfish which live in this dam, I'm sure, will feed on one or two weaver chicks. But the way that they overcome this, and not permanently, but they do have a slight wall or barrier leading upwards, so it almost creates a small chute or almost pipe-like structure, vertical structure, leading into the nest, and then the eggs and chicks are slightly below that in a very slight depression. So you could almost imagine a small funnel leading inwards into the nest that prevents young chicks. Oh, this is awesome. Look at this for a show. Sorry, Jan, but thank you for that question. It is a good one. There are a few casualties along the way, but like I said, they do create a kind of funnel leading into the nest that helps to prevent any chicks or eggs falling out. This individual's just arrived back at his nest with a new blade of grass. Look at that. Incredible. I mean, you could give us humans all the blades of grass you like and two hands with fingers that are going to definitely be easier in terms of tools to use than a beak, and we certainly wouldn't be able to come up with anything as intricate and detailed as this. It really didn't take him long to weave quite a long blade of grass. I'd say the piece of grass that he arrived with was about 8 inches to 10 inches long, and within about 4 or 5 maneuvers it was all tightly tied up and bundled in the right places. Oh, this one's really got a lot of work ahead of him. We'll just zoom in for now. But as you can see, the kind of top right of the screen is the beginning foundations of his nest. Still a long way to go. That initial loop must be really difficult for them to construct. I'm guessing that's almost one of the hardest parts of the process, is getting that initial foundation, that initial structure on which to continue building off. You can see a massive vulture soaring in the distance. Hopefully Brian will be able to get a shot of it. It is in the vicinity of that buffalo carcass. we did go and have a look there, but well done, Brian. This is not easy, especially considering that it's behind the weaver birds. But it is that time of the day that your raptors and vultures, birds of prey, will be getting active. There will be a few hot air thermals that they can ride and therefore expend less energy when flying. So this is typically the time of day that they do start getting active. Like I was saying, we did go back to check the buffalo carcass that the vultures were feeding on yesterday morning, and it appears the vultures have done a good job at cleaning up that carcass. There was still a lot of hide over the rib cage, but it was evident that the vultures had managed to use those long, unfeathered necks, which are perfectly designed for getting into these tight gaps between hide and bone, and they seem to have cleaned out as much of that carcass as possible. There we go. The vulture's literally right above us now, impossible to film. They're just checking us out. We sadly are of no interest to it, but it did fly directly over us eventually, which was quite nice. A question's just come through from Ria on Twitter. Good morning, Ria, and welcome. Ria's question was whether these weavers rebuild their nests on a yearly basis, or do they come back and repair old nests? The answer to that is that they build new nests. The females are very, very picky when it comes to their nesting site, and I'm sure that no female would tolerate an old renovated nest. They all like state-of-the-art modern nests, depending on which styles are in for the respective summer. And I think over a kind of 1 year period between seasons when they do breed, that the nest would lose a lot of its strength and stability, considering it is just made out of blades of grass. So the answer to that is that they do build nests every year, and potentially several nests every year, because if the females don't like their first, second, third attempt, they will be ripped down and the men will start building again. The weavers try and hang the nests out as far as they can on the extremities of the branches, and the reason for that is to make it more difficult for snakes to get to them, and other predators like mongoose, monitor lizards. They will all definitely have a keen eye on these nests and be planning on how to get to them, but by A, choosing a thorn tree, which they are in, and B, being right at the end of the branches, it does make it difficult for predators to get to their nests. For any of those who are nesting closer into the main structure of the tree, they are risking being invaded by snakes. There's a specific snake called the boomslang, which in Afrikaans, or the Dutch language in South Africa, directly translates to tree snake. And as its name suggests, it lives predominantly in trees and therefore preys predominantly on birds, both fully grown and young. So I wouldn't be surprised if not now, potentially in the next few weeks, a boomslang will slither into this tree and try and make the most of the potential food it has on offer here. The nice thing about the birding community is that you get certain individuals that are known as kind of the police or sheriffs of the birding community, and they do serve and protect the other smaller, less aggressive birds by attacking snakes or mobbing them. And they'll, you know, certain birds, I think of the crested barbet comes to mind, a really pretty bird, but really aggressive and bold. They'll fly in and bomb into snakes to try and dislodge them from trees and really deter them from any potential kills. So thankfully these weavers do have some allies in the birding community. Okay, well, it would be nice to come back and see the progress. Oh, the go-away bird just came in and landed. I thought we had a raptor coming in to swoop down and cause some trouble, but it was just a grey go-away bird. And if we're lucky, it'll do its call for us. It's a very comical quang, but it appears just to be eating the berries from a vine that's actually growing in this tree. They're fruit-eating birds, the go-away birds. And it's difficult to see, but it is targeting some very small berries from a vine that's using this thorn tree as a foundation to grow and search for light. I've just got an update that we'll across area looking for any more line tracks.